Welcome, this is Ad Emmen reporting live for Prima Magazine from the ETP4HPC meeting in the Netherlands. And we're here to talk a little bit about the ecosystem around HPC in Europe. And we are here with three people who can tell a lot about that. We first have Pascal Bernier, who is a communication officer from ETP4HPC. Then we have Fabrizio Magduliani, who's from E4 Computing from Italy. And with Axel Auweter from Magware in Germany. Pascal, can you tell a little bit about what ETP4HPC is?
Yes. So ETP4HPC is an association of European HPC stakeholders. We have a diversity of members that include industrial companies, both vendors and end users. We have academics, research labs, and we have a number of SMEs as part of our members. And our association has been advising the European Commission on the HPC, the European HPC research program for about 7 years.
Can you tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Fabrizio Magduliani. I work for E4 Computer Engineering. It's an SME based in Reggio Emilia, which is central Italy. E4 has a long story of developing HPC systems since the very beginning. As an example, we were the first company to bring ARM accelerated cluster to the market. We are sort of proud about that because it demonstrates once again the leadership in research in HPC. In the last years, we installed a large IBM Power 8 based system at Cineca, and this system was within the PRACE PCP project. It was a research and production system, and it made the top 500 and Green 500 list. Once again, that's one of the achievements of E4 in this very challenging market.
Okay, thank you. Axel.
Yeah, so Axel Auweter from Magware. We have more than 30 years, or almost 30 years actually, experience in building just custom-made computing solutions for demanding customers of a variety of fields. More than 20 years actually, we focus almost entirely on the HPC market, and we have been visible with more than 40 placements in the top 500 list with our systems. And of course, we're accompanying this also with quite some R&D that we conduct in the field. For once, we have our own developments in the field of liquid cooling technology, and on the other hand, we're also having an own software solution for cluster management.
Okay, thank you. So one of the discussion points today in HPC in Europe is EuroHPC, and I think that's also on the agenda of the ETP4HPC meeting today and tomorrow.
Yes.
So ETP4HPC has a certain role. What's the role that it has in EuroHPC?
Well, basically, I mean, our role as advisor to the European Commission continues with the EuroHPC joint undertaking. We are a private member of EuroHPC, one of the two private members with Association BDVA. We are part of the advisory group to EuroHPC, so we will continue to produce a strategic research agenda. Our role was already that before EuroHPC.
Yes,
I mean, we are representing the HPC industry and HPC users for the definition of the HPC work programs. So yes, that's more or less how it works.
Yeah. And so it's continuous work. It's not like
It is continuous work. We are. I mean, the legal entities are changing, but our work is continuing.
One of the things that they want to do in EuroHPC is to get European technology and to get more European hardware and system integrators involved into producing hardware. And that's where you, for instance, come into the picture. So, Axel, can you tell a little bit about how you see that role?
Yeah, so I think in Europe we are indeed very, very strong in terms of that we have a lot of innovation happening in SMEs. I think this is really one of the key strengths of the European industry in general. And there is indeed a lot of great building blocks for technology in HPC systems that you can source from the European SMEs. And by joining forces under the framework of EuroHPC, we basically have now a vehicle where these forces can effectively be joined into larger European systems that eventually then maximize the contents of European technology in larger installations, going, for example, towards exascale systems.
EuroHPC is a huge catalyst opportunity. Is sponsoring research, is investing money in the development not only of systems but also of the entire ecosystem, the workflow, and this is going to bring a huge competitive boost to the European companies, not only SMEs working directly in the HPC environment, but also to all the small, medium companies which require to be competitive in the market to stay on the market. That's why I'm saying that EuroHPC is a driver of competitiveness for the European ecosystem beyond HPC itself. We will be more competitive, our companies will be more competitive, and we will basically compete on an equal foot with the US, Chinese and Japanese program. Without EuroHPC and the funding it provides for the development of an ecosystem, we will be behind the competition curve.
That's the overall goal. So if everything works out, it's great. But what is needed to make it work out? Axel, can you tell a little bit about the things that you see that needs to be done that are very important?
Yeah, so I would say that the joining of forces is indeed one of the biggest steps that we've come with the inauguration of EuroHPC, because as opposed to the let's say countries that we're competing with, Europe is of course not as united. So there is of course a diversity among different European member states, and uniting them with a single goal, I think, is indeed key to be on a equal playing field here. But then again, also it's not about just competing on this international race of supercomputers. It's also really, as Fabrizio has already outlined, about enabling more and more of the European industries as a whole to use HPC efficiently. And I think this is also where we, and EuroHPC puts a strong focus on that, where we have to discuss the needs of SMEs, some of which already using HPC as a day-to-day technology to increase their competitiveness. But I think there's still there's a lot of companies where we still need to do groundwork and basically start with the very, very basics and getting them closer to the technology and basically also proving to them that HPC as a technology will actually increase their competitiveness in their particular field.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally side with what Axel is saying. In addition to the competitiveness, EuroHPC has also the very interesting European Processor Initiative, where E4 is a member. This is the first native and well-funded initiative to develop a native European processor, where we basically disengage from the technological dependency to the non-European processor. This is another side of the picture. Not only EuroHPC is driving the creation of the ecosystem, but is also nurturing this processor, which will enable Europe to be technologically independent from anybody else in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that would be important for the European ecosystem. Of course, people then ask the question, will that be in time and ready?
That's a very good question. We all are behind that. Yeah. We all are honestly and genuinely convinced that it may work if we all are, going in the same direction. As of now, the EPI effort has been fairly consistent. We have already starting to work. We have already some preliminary blueprint of what the process is going to be. If we go on with the same stamina, with the same, mindedness about that, it will get something. In addition to the pure processor by itself, the European Processor Initiative will also bring a huge innovation in the development of codes, applications, packages suited for the exascale class system. Because just having a processor is a part of the picture. We have also to have application running of it and people able to program this system. Because unless some code optimization is done for exascale, the current code, which are basically planned in the 60s or 70s, will never run at speed on this system. And this is one of the objectives of EPI, not only being the system, the processor, but also this number of students, PhD, master engineer, computer scientist, who will be the backbone of the European competitiveness in the next decades.
Of course, there's a lot of research and also development necessary for that. And is that something that your companies are also involved in? So you said you're involved.
We are involved in it,
yeah.
But it is a global initiative. I mean,
yeah.
We are involved. Megware has tools and capabilities and skill to be involved in this. Okay. We have to start with a small number, 27 members. But the objective is to open this initiative also to other members and drive the European HPC ecosystem, which is not only the 27 members as of now, but opening much more larger, involve all the stakeholders, all the people who can bring some technology of their own to this system.
Okay. You had something?
Yeah, so I mean, although we are not a member of the European Processor Initiative as a Megware, we do see the potential it brings, and we do see how the whole initiative has actually created the momentum that Fabrizio has talked about. And we also see that as opposed to the last decade where basically scientists could just rely on machines getting faster by themselves without them doing much work, we now see that the entire technology landscape in HPC or in the IT industry in general is widening up. We see more and more special purpose processors. We see more computer architectures popping into the market. And I think for future scientists acting in the HPC space, it will be crucial to deal with this heterogeneity of systems, deal with systems of higher complexity, maybe systems that integrate multiple architectural concepts into one. And EPI is such an important building block in this as it showcases to our European scientists and HPC users that they do have to do something and that they do need to invest into their codes. And independent of the success of the European processor itself, it will make our HPC community, our HPC users, ready for this technological change. And I think this we will get for sure, independent of the success of the EPI that we all hope for.
And ETP4HPC has a role in the EuroHPC joint undertaking through the RIAG, as Pascal mentioned before, and Axel is one of the ETP4HPC representative within the Research and Infrastructure Advisory Group. So ETP is basically providing EuroHPC with its own background, skill, vision through the Strategic Research Agenda, which is a document available on the ETP4HPC web, and everybody can download, and we are open to get any input, any recommendation about this document, and through Axel and the other representatives of ETP4HPC into the RIAG, bring this input, this innovation to EuroHPC. And this is, you know, a nice chain of added value, starting from the users, which is the galaxy of the people outside, to the bones, to the, you know, to the critical part of EuroHPC through this RIAG and the other initiatives.
Yeah, that's the RIAG and ETP4HPC. That's about the technology. That's about the technical organization.
Yes.
EuroHPC is also a funding mechanism and a funding organization where countries and the European Union puts money and in that way try to be able to develop more than they would do individually. What are the things that they should look at if they want to support the, let's say, companies inside the HPC ecosystem? What's the attention that they should?
You said it right. The funding schemas of EuroHPC is basically 50% funded for each project, funded by the European Commission and 50% funded by the member states. This is a way, in my opinion, to make sure that there won't be, you know, those funding thrown to the people without any feedback or return of investment. Engaging with the countries and having the countries fund for a part of the project, make sure that there will be check and balance between the countries in the European Union, and the results must come.
Yeah, but for the research and innovation programs, it's 50% from the countries,
Yeah.
but if you are an Italian company, you have to go to the Italian government. If you are a German company, you have to go to the German government. Of course, you get more money, so it makes sense to have some kind of difficulty added. But do you see that that will work, or do you foresee that that will work?
I think it's still to be seen how it works in practice. I mean, for the research and innovation activities, we are still yet waiting for the first calls to be released.
Yeah.
So we will see how that turns out in practice. I think what we can say is that there is quite a lot of joint undertakings being launched in different other fields by the European Commission, where the whole setup has been proven quite successfully, and the member states actually have the ability to raise their interests and bring in their ideas upfront, meaning that basically if they set their priorities and bring them into the joint undertaking, as they can do, they basically don't need to be as critical about this co-funding in the end, because they can make sure and they can put all the effort that they need to set out the research, their own research priorities straight from the beginning. And for this, okay, they might have and do like national consultations with the various stakeholders in their country before then acting as a country within the EuroHPC joint undertaking.
And within API, Atos is the coordinator, the prime contractor. And so that this is a European, large European company with people able to drive the development of the processor, and BSC, Barcelona Supercomputer Center, is the project leader for the accelerator. Yeah. So two large European institutions, one commercial, one academic, driving the two components of the European Processor Initiative, with some contacting point where the two different architectures are going to be merged in a single or multiple pilot systems.
Just as a last question to all three of you, and starting with Axel, how do you see the future of the European HPC ecosystem in, let's say, about 5 years from now?
Obviously, our hopes is to grow our business by remaining innovative and competitive. But as Magware, we have always been very customer-centric. And for us, I think the biggest success that we would like to see coming out of EuroHPC is actually when we manage to really pick up a much larger fraction of HPC users across all domains in the industry, may it be life sciences, may it be engineering companies, and grow HPC as a tool, as a valuable tool for them.
The HPC environment is very challenging. We as SMEs have some time to fight against larger guys. Our only way to have success is being innovative, being cost-effective, being the first to deliver innovative solutions. I see E4 as delivering innovative, clever, smart solution designed by our team. I think the people, our people, Megware people, are the key for getting success in the next 5 years. We have to grow people able to compete with the brain against the larger guys.
Thank you. Pascal?
Yes, I think the European HPC ecosystem will thrive really under EuroHPC. It's a great opportunity, particularly for our members, with the increased focus on European technology. I think it's a great chance for all of us. So, yeah, I'm fairly optimistic.
Okay, thank you for your time, and perhaps we should meet in another 5 years to see how it worked out.
Yeah,
so,
we'll have hundreds of members by then.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
And to you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ed.
For Primeur Magazine, this was Adem reporting.